Carla watches over her young son Frankie while chatting with another parent in the park. But their day takes a dark turn when Carla steps away to take a phone call from her lawyer. Distracted by the call, she loses track of time, and when she turns back, Frankie is gone. Suddenly, she sees a woman dragging Frankie toward a car. Carla runs after them, grabbing onto the vehicle and screaming for help, but she falls off as they speed away and her phone slips behind. She rushes back to her car to give chase. Racing through traffic, she nearly catches up at a red light. She jumps out, rushes toward them, frantically knocks on windows, and pleads with the driver in front not to move. But as soon as the light turns green, the cars surge forward and the kidnappers get away. Carla rushes back to her vehicle and continues the chase. Just when she thinks she's lost them, she spots their car again. The kidnappers try to throw her off by tossing objects at her car, including a tire that causes an accident behind her, but she manages to evade them. She speeds up again and finally gets close enough to see Frankie inside. The kidnappers pull out a knife and hold it up to Frankie, forcing Carla to let them drive away. But as she watches their car disappear, something shifts inside her. She looks at a picture of Frankie on her dashboard, and her fear turns into fierce determination. Soon after, Carla notices a police officer on a motorcycle and starts driving erratically to get his attention. The officer catches up and signals her to pull over. She desperately tells him that her son has been kidnapped, but the officer is more concerned about her reckless driving and insists she stop the car. The kidnappers suddenly ram into the officer and knock him off his motorcycle. He falls in between the cars, and both vehicles speed away, leaving him behind. The kidnappers reach a dead end, forcing them to stop. Carla also stops her car and steps out. After a moment, a man named Terry steps out of the car. She offers him her purse, which contains her credit cards and PIN code. She promises not to report this to the police and just wants her son back. Terry takes the purse without saying a word and goes back to the car. But then, a woman named Margot steps out and walks toward Carla. Margot asks if Carla can give them $10,000 in exchange for Frankie, and Carla immediately agrees. Margot convinces her to unlock the car, saying they will drive together to get the money, and then they will release Frankie. With no other choice, Carla opens the door and starts driving again, following the kidnapper's car. As they enter a tunnel, Margot suddenly attacks Carla, trying to strangle her with a seatbelt. Carla fights back while struggling to control the vehicle. She manages to overpower Margot and throws her out of the car just as they exit the tunnel. After a while, Terry realizes that Margot is no longer inside Carla's car. He speeds up and threatens to throw Frankie out of the moving vehicle. Carla has no choice but to stop and let them escape. After a while, she drives for a long time without any sign of the kidnappers. But suddenly, she spots their car, which has crashed. She swerves off the road, avoiding traffic, and rushes to the accident scene. She asks bystanders where the people from the car went. They tell her that they have already left and provide her the address to a nearby police station. Carla quickly arrives at the police station and reports the kidnapping. However, the officer at the desk seems uninterested and tells her to wait. She suddenly notices a board covered with missing children's posters. Realizing that the police won't act quickly enough, she decides to handle things on her own. As she drives through the streets, she spots Terry's jacket in a trash bin. She realizes that since the kidnapper no longer has a car, he must be looking for a new vehicle. Suddenly, she sees a suspicious car and suspects that Terry has stolen it, and without hesitation, she rams into that car. As she continues chasing Terry at full speed, she realizes that her car doesn't have much fuel left. Terry blocks every attempt she makes to get closer. Carla repeatedly slams into his car, trying to force him off the road. But just as she is about to gain the upper hand, her fuel runs out. Carla jumps out and starts running after Terry on foot. Just then, another vehicle approaches, and Carla runs in front of it, begging for help. The driver stops, and she tells him to call the police. But suddenly, Terry returns and rams his car into theirs. Carla is still alive. She struggles to get out and approaches Terry's car. But before she reaches him, he pulls out a gun and shoots at her. She manages to escape and runs back to her car and locks herself inside. Terry attacks the car and smashes the glass and prepares to fire again. But Carla grabs his arm, forces the handbrake off, and sends his vehicle rolling backward into the woods. The car crashes into trees, and a sharp branch pierces through Terry's body. Carla searches his wallet and finds his home address. After a long walk through the woods, she finds a remote house and carefully sneaks inside. As she explores, a phone rings, and Margot, who has returned back home, answers it. She is negotiating a price for the kidnapped child. Margot then moves to another house, and after a while, she steps outside to look for Terry. Carla heads toward the house where she had earlier seen Margot go and begins searching every corner, desperately looking for Frankie. Suddenly, she hears his voice and realizes that he is locked up in the ceiling. She also hears the voices of 2 other kidnapped children trapped with him. Carla grabs a metal pipe and smashes it against the ceiling, trying to create a larger opening. However, the noise alerts Margot, who immediately grabs her gun and prepares to attack. Carla quickly manages to pull Frankie down. Realizing that Carla is about to escape, Margot releases her dog. The 2 run toward the dock and use a boat as a decoy, making it seem like they are escaping across the water. Margot reaches the dock and takes aim, ready to shoot at the boat. But Carla and Frankie are actually hiding just beneath the dock. Unfortunately, the dog senses their presence and starts barking. Just as Margot is about to fire her gun, Carla suddenly lunges out of the water, grabs Margot and drags her into the water. The 2 women fight violently, and Carla overpowers Margot, holding her underwater until she drowns. Carla climbs back onto the dock and pulls Frankie into a tight embrace, relieved that he is finally safe. A short while later, the police arrive at the scene. They secure Carla and the rest of the kidnapped children, ensuring their safety. News outlets soon report on the incident, hailing Carla as a hero for saving her son and leading to the arrest of the kidnappers.